Yes, thanks for staying with us on the South Australian Sports Show. About a couple of weeks ago, we had a couple of superstars in for karate that had won gold at the Nationals.
We did.
So we thought we'd better find out what the formula is to their success. So we said, let's get the coach in. And of course, the coach has been good enough, Matty Johnson, to give us some of his time. Matty, thanks for coming in.
Well, thank you.
Now, mate, before we get to them, your record's pretty impressive itself, mate. I mean, 10 times Australian champion, 3 times international gold medalist, lots of other accolades. But the one that stands out when I look at it, not just the 24 years in the national team, mate, is he's been the national coach since 2000. So that's 18 years in the seat. Now, most coaches don't survive that long. So what's the secret?
I must be a little bit crazy, I think.
Yeah.
Love for the sport.
Do we punch above our weight in South Australia?
Yeah, definitely we do, yeah. Definitely, yeah. We always have. In the context, small teams and good results.
But your record is good. Your record is amazing. If you read your bio, you're South Australian.
Yeah.
Well, what got you started in this? Because, as I say, your record is right up there, yet you're saying that we're not as powerful as the other states. And
we just don't have the depth, unfortunately, but we have the eliteness, but it's the ones coming up. So what takes another state 2 or 3 years to develop takes us 7 years to develop, and then you've got to nurture it correctly so the next generation comes underneath it. What got me started? Shamefully, Bruce Lee, Karate Kid.
Yep.
All of that stuff, yeah. But in those days, you couldn't find a karate school in the 80s, you know, that it was like a leaflet or a flyer, and I actually walked past and heard these people counting in Japanese, and I was hopeless at every other sport, so I thought I might as well give this a go.
A crack, yeah.
Walked in and fell in love with it and been with the same instructor 31 years.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because most people don't find their niche. Most people don't find that.
Yeah, I was lucky.
Yeah.
I was pretty bad at other sports, admittedly, as well. So,
but you never thought of karate? You would have never given that any thought at all until you heard the...
No, I was fascinated by Bruce Lee movies and stuff like that. You know, Karate Kid, you know, blood sport, all those things. I know it's shameful to admit. And I just love the discipline aspect of it, even before I even understood what it was about. Yeah. So I went into it with a perceived idea, and what I've sort of understood on the way is what I wanted. So yeah.
Because those movies, those movies you're talking about, even though they are movies, they are fictional or whatever, they still do touch on the mental and side
exactly.
Of it,
it's the right aspects. Yeah. They hook you in, definitely. If there's something that's pulling you towards it, they definitely hook you in. Yeah.
But talk about the discipline just for a minute. I mean, when I've walked in and watched training sessions, there's a high respect for the coach, the instructor. Are you taught that at a really early age?
You are, and it's a discipline at different levels, and I understand it the more experienced I become as a coach, because then it's a discipline now as a coach to make sure the athletes are doing the small things correctly, because you can easily become complacent as a coach when you're winning gold medals and you try and skip level 1 and get to level 3. But so for me, the discipline's different than when I first came in, and different than what I sort of instill in my athletes. But from a young age, it's bowing correctly, little things like respecting your elders, opening doors up for people, sort of stuff that gets lost.
Yeah.
And then it just stems through, went into my working life, and it sort of hasn't left me now. And I was a lazy kid, and the discipline that went with it has just made me become quite successful, I guess, within my own skin.
Man, I'm really interested. If we use footy as an example, because that's the big sport here in South Australia, and they keep tinkering with the rules and rule changes, and everyone's going, for goodness sake, can you just leave it alone?
Yep.
Your journey across karate's 40 years. Well, you're 44, so let's
call it a long time. Yeah.
Have there been much changes in the actual skill itself, or have they stayed with the discipline? And
the skill it's changed a little bit now. We're trying to make it a little bit more dynamic, and like with anything, AFL, they try and change rules and stuff like that, and coaches will find a way. It's our way to best apply the rules. So we change things, but I guess the essence is still the same. When I first started competing, we used to wear like real little thin mitts, never wore shin protection or anything like that. No groin guards, no mouth guards, and now slowly we've started to, it's a little bit more health safety, I guess.
I'd have a suit of armour on.
I'm
out there doing it.
Well, now they have a thin body armour underneath, but that doesn't stop anything. Even the lightweight ones, like the kids you had on a couple of weeks ago, Michelle, they full force. If they hit you, they're going to stop you.
Hey, let's talk about Michelle and Connor just briefly. I mean, Connor at 15 years of age, obviously you see. Very dangerous word, that word potential, but he's fulfilled it to this stage. How long has it taken to develop him to that level where, A, he feels confident enough in himself to win a gold medal, and then he has the skill set to be able to win a gold medal? It's not like you just turn up and go,
no, you're right.
I'll do
karate
this year.
Too, because people only see the end result.
Yes.
you know, to give you the short version, he started with our Little Ninjas program 7 or 8 years ago. Came into me a little kid wrapped around his mum's leg.
Great name, is it?
Little Ninjas, yeah. And you know,
yeah.
it's a fun-orientated type of way to get them into karate. So we sort of mask repetition drills. Fast forward that to a couple of years ago, I spoke to Connor and another one of my students, Ethan. I spoke to the parents and said, look, we need to go to level 2 now. So at that time, I didn't have a full-time facility, so they were getting dropped off at my house on a Tuesday night. Wow. I would do my own training, have dinner, my family would be inside, and we'd be out in my backyard, no matter what the weather, kicking and punching and stuff like that. So then we got to level 3, then I just built this new facility a couple of years ago, and then from then we've just started to see the potential sort of come to fruition. Yeah. But I guess he's probably where I need them to be, but it's a long term. For me, I want them to be world champions, Olympic champion and stuff like that. So the short-term goal at the moment for them is Junior World Championships next year. But to fulfil the potential so far, he's definitely ticking the boxes.
Now, we're an Olympic sport now.
That's correct, yes.
Karate is Olympic sport. That's correct,
You've
been to qualifying in Croatia?
So I'm national coach of the under-21s, and in that portfolio I look after the specific 16, 17-year-olds. So we were trying to qualify for the Junior Olympics, which is in Buenos Aires in October. So I was the first ever Australian coach at a first ever Olympic qualifier.
Wow.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we didn't qualify, but you know, just to be part of it as an athlete in a sport that wasn't Olympic recognised, to always want to go to Olympics, you know, the next best. Exactly. So yeah.
Did you see something in those qualifying periods? Because I understand a couple of the participants got through a couple of rounds at least.
Yeah, we went through, I think we got to the 3rd round. We needed to win another 2 to actually qualify.
Have you seen something there that...
Oh, the Australian kids are awesome. The Australian kids are awesome. The biggest thing with us is, like anything, we're just geographically challenged.
Yeah.
So I can prepare them all the want. I can get the potential where we need it to be. I can do all the training. I can do everything. But what I can't give them is the furnace.
The European competition.
The European competition and stuff like that.
Sure.
You know, the kids in Croatia where we were, they had competed in Austria the week before, Slovenia the week after that, Germany the week after that, where we were a week and a half in Croatia. And that's sort of, we just have to deal with it.
Yeah. Hey, Matty, appreciate you coming in, mate.
My pleasure.
We've run out of time, but hopefully we can catch up a bit later in the year and find out how they're tracking and how your time as the national coach is going too, mate. I'm interested in that.
My pleasure.
Stay with us, a bit more to come on the show.